Icon Corner. I'm Tina, and today I'm going to make Oklahoma crab cakes. I'm going to use zucchini and a few other ingredients and put together a really tasty main dish that you'll be surprised doesn't have any meat in it. Any seafood in it, excuse me. I'm going to grate up my zucchini. We don't like sweetbreads that much. You know, we might make banana bread once in a while, but it's always been kind of a frustration that there weren't many things that you could do with zucchini. People kept saying, well, you can shred them up and freeze it and then use it in zucchini bread. Well, you know, that's well and good for twice a year. So we were delighted when we discovered this little recipe that allows us to grate some zucchini and put it in the freezer or dehydrate it and use it later on in the year for a savory dish. I don't need to grate my fingers. You can do this really quickly in your food processor, but this recipe only needs 2 cupfuls of zucchini shredded, so for the amount that I'm going to make, so it's just as easy to do it with the box grater here. Next, I'm going to cut up 4 tablespoons, of onion. These are onions that I grew myself. I love to grow onions. They're so easy to grow, and they're one of those things that you can plant really early in the year. So when it's too early to plant anything else, and you're just dying to get out there and put something in the ground, onions are the perfect thing for that. We live in the South, so we have to grow what's called short day onions. And I grow them from the little plants, not the bulbs and not from seed. Our local feed stores will get in the kind of onions that will grow well here. We don't have long enough daylight down here for them to turn into bulbs, and if we try to use northern onions, they just stay green onions all the time, all year. They don't ever bulb. The big box stores are not likely to have the right kind of onions that you need. So go to your local feed stores or your local nurseries and make sure that you get short day or intermediate day onions if you're in the South. We have a lot of choice now. I think in the old days there weren't but 2 or 3 kinds of onions that we could grow down here and turn into bulbs, but nowadays there are several new varieties they've introduced. But onions are easy to grow. You just put those little plants in the ground, just barely cover them, just barely cover the roots, and go away and keep them weeded and watered and a little fertilizer, and they just kind of magically grow. They don't have much that can go wrong with them, and when they're ripe and ready to be picked, the tops fall over and let you know. Okay. Now I'm going to add a tablespoon of mayonnaise. We only use a good brand name of mayonnaise. We do not use any low-fat mayonnaises. A lot of those kinds of products have additives in them that we don't really want in our food. So anytime they've taken something out of a natural product, you can bet they put a chemical substitute in there. I make my own mustard too, and in fact I'll probably make some of this pretty soon and show you guys how it's done. I'm going to use a teaspoon of mustard. This is really good. You can make it as spicy or as mild as you want when you make it yourself. And here's the secret. Old Bay seafood seasoning. You use this all the time on the coast, but this is what gives it that seafood-like flavor. You don't even notice that it doesn't have the crab meat in it when you taste this Old Bay. It takes 2 teaspoons of Old Bay. We're going to use 1 egg. We buy yard eggs from some friends of ours. So these eggs are fertile. So I always open them one at a time into a bowl and go from there into my dish. They're really healthy for you. And the chickens are happy. They lead wonderful, happy lives. Stir this up.
Didn't you tell me that one time you went over there, they ran up to you like pets?
They do. They don't run away. You know, a car drives up and they just hang around and they'll come up to see what's going on, and they're just happy creatures, and it's just wonderful when you see them like that. They get to run around in the sunshine and have a good life. All right. Now I'm going to add a cupful of breadcrumbs. These are breadcrumbs that I made. Since I bake bread, once in a while I'll have an excess loaf. I always cube it up, dry it, and save it that way, and then I can turn it into crumbs if I need it, or I can use it to make bread pudding with. But you can make your own breadcrumbs even if you don't bake your own bread. Save your heels and ends, and save the parts that get stale, and cut them into cubes and dry them out, and just save them in a bag in the pantry. There's no need to buy breadcrumbs. You can make them yourself so easily. You can turn any kind of bread into crumbs. You can turn stale hamburger buns. We always have a problem with 1 or 2 hot dog buns left over, and those can be. All right, I'm going to finish stirring these up, and then we'll come back and show you how we fry them. Oh, all right, we're back. We're ready to fry our Oklahoma crab cakes. I have about a 1/3 of an inch of oil in my skillet, and I have it fairly well heated. I'm going to drop a little bit in there and wait till that sizzles good to be sure that my grease is plenty hot before I put my cakes in there. We're going to have this with red cabbage and apples, so I've got my cabbage heating on back there, and then when it's all ready, we'll have a nice meal. Okay, there goes the sizzle, so we're ready to start. I just use a small spoonful and just push it off into the hot fat. Then we're going to let it fry on a medium-high heat until it's nice and brown on the opposite side, and so that it cooked pretty well, so that it'll hold together well. We'll be back. Okay, we're fixing to start turning these. They've been cooking at medium-high heat for about 5 minutes. I'm using, this implement is called a fish spatula, and it's a great little tool for turning anything that's delicate. So I'm going to use it to turn these little crab cakes. This is a right-handed fish spatula, and I'm a lefty, so my technique probably leaves a lot to be desired. When you go to use it, that lower end will just kind of slide right under things for you. Okay, they won't need to cook quite as long on the other side since they've cooked pretty well. So we're going to cook these for about another 3 minutes on this side and let them brown really. The full batch that I made from the recipe tonight, which you'll find in the down in the comments section tomorrow, is probably enough to serve 4 and everybody have seconds. We serve it with the tartar sauce that I made, and we're having it with some purple cabbage and apples. It's a really tasty meal. Enjoy.